Hello, everyone, and welcome to 1v1 with Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, Celeste Roberts of Nintendo Power Block and Another Zelda podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Sophie, a talented artist and video game enthusiast. How are you doing today, Sophie?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's Sunday. It's pretty chill today, and I'm really excited to get to talk with you because I've been following your art for a while now, and I can't draw to save my life, and your sketches are just absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, thank you.
I mean that sincerely. They look just like the characters, and I love the pen and marker, and you use pencil sometimes too.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff like pen, markers, ink, paint, anything.
That's awesome. They are so cool, and I love that I can tell it's your style. That's really neat. I love the colors and the shading with them.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
oh, you're welcome. So, they look like they focus mostly on video game and anime characters. Do you want to tell us maybe about like your earliest days of video games?
Sure. So we always had video games growing up in the house. First we had a Nintendo, like an NES. So there was Super Mario Brothers 2 and 3. Contra we played a lot of too. And then we got a Super Nintendo. And the first game I actually ever completed on my own was A Link to the Past. Um, and so yeah, we always had it growing up, as long as I can remember. And even my mom plays video games, which is cool.
That is really cool. Did she used to kind of help you guys if you were stuck in any areas?
No, she just kind of played when she felt like it.
Okay. Did she have some particular games that kind of drew her in?
She really liked playing Mario Galaxy. And
Nice.
when I was younger, she liked playing Kirby's Avalanche a lot.
Kirby's Avalanche. What system was that one? That one sounds really familiar.
It's on Super Nintendo. It's kind of like a
Okay.
puzzle game.
Oh yeah. Okay. Because Kirby has been pretty much on all the platforms so far, and I don't know if that one has its praises sung as much as some of the other ones.
No, a lot of people don't even know about it, I think, or they just think, oh, it's just a boring puzzle game. But it's really
Oh,
addictive.
oh, Kirby can do no wrong. I mean, he's had. I think there was like a little Kirby pinball for the Game Boy or Game Boy Color where you actually had to like flip the Game Boy.
Oh, yes, yes. The
That one.
I think.
Yes, yes, that was it. It was hard. It was really
Yes.
hard. So, do you have time to play video games as much anymore?
I try to. I find it's a good way to wind down at night. So the Switch is really good for that because you can just play it in bed or play it wherever.
Yes, I really love that. I didn't know if I would use it mostly on TV or on the portable setting, but I find I like just getting into a recliner and just relaxing with something right then and there.
Yeah, it's great. See, I've always loved handhelds the most, like Game Boy Advance, my 3DS. So I wasn't sure about the Switch. I'm like, oh, am I gonna want to play it on the TV? Will I use it that much? I use it all the time.
Yeah, and the Switch Lite is not even able to be played on the TV now. So that's interesting. I So that's what we have to tell our friends who have young kids when they're asking, oh, which one should we get? We have to remind them, okay, make sure that you want it 100% portable, or do you want the option?
Yeah.
Well, what are some games that you've been playing lately?
A few months ago, I went on a huge Stardew Valley binge. Like, would play it for hours every day. That was bad. And then I've been playing Bloodstained.
Let's see. Mm-hmm.
So that's like Symphony of the Night, like Castlevania style.
Mm-hmm.
It's made by the same person actually. So that one's really fun. It's challenging, and I like games to be more challenging than not. It's kind of like you want your money's worth, you know?
Okay, I've seen it around whenever I go to different stores or just people talking about it, and I know you are a huge Castlevania fan.
Yes.
That's awesome. So is Bloodstained worth checking out?
Oh yes, for sure, for sure. It's a little bit dark though. Like it's definitely not a kid's game.
Hmm.
But if you like kind of like the gothic medieval style games, it's definitely worth checking out.
I got it confused with that like early 2000s game Blood Rain at first. I don't know if you remember that one.
I'm not sure. I would have to look it up.
Yeah, I think she was a vampire and she had red hair, but this looks way more like Castlevania
Yeah.
Bloodstained does. Have you watched the Castlevania anime on Netflix?
Yes, it's so good. Have you watched it?
Well, I just started it a few days ago. I finally found time and I've watched the whole first season. Now I have to start the second season.
What do you think of it so far?
I will not let my 9-year-old godson watch it because no, that's not a a negative for it at all. I was just curious because I've played only Castlevania 64
Oh
and
yes.
mhm. And I'm aware of the series. Like I know about the Belmonts and things like that, which Castlevania 64 doesn't even mention them, I don't think. And the anime is really, really good. And in fact, I never thought I'd find myself sympathizing with Dracula.
I know. I'm like Team Dracula all the way. When I was watching it, I'm like, no, you can't go against him. They killed his wife.
I know. Spoiler alert, you guys, but it happens in the first episode, so you're not. It's not a big reveal. Yeah, so
Big
it's okay. So if it's driving the entire series. So, but I haven't. I used to watch anime a lot when I was in like elementary school, and I had more time. Huge fan of Sailor Moon, Outlaw Star, Gundam Wing, Tenchi Muyo. Those series. I don't know if you ever watched any of those.
I watched Sailor Moon for sure. Um, I watched a lot of Cardcaptor Sakura, like
Yes.
a lot of the Clamp series, like Chobits and stuff. I think some people
Hmm.
call it Chobits. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it.
I don't know. I know what you're talking about. She has like these things on her, like she's an android, and she has these
Yeah,
things on her side of her head.
yeah, they look like weird ears.
Yes, yes. Oh, I'm glad you brought up card captors because I used to watch that every Saturday morning.
Yeah, that was really good. So they actually just came out with a new season. I want to say last year. I could be wrong, but
Really?
yeah, it continues the story. So then they're in high school or junior high school.
Okay, because when I was watching it, oh gosh, this was like 2001, and I think they were like, I don't know, I guess she was like, what, 10
Yeah, she's
originally?
old in the first season.
Yes, and I have the dolls, and I still have them in the boxes because I couldn't bring myself to open them.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, and the Book of Cloud. Did you ever collect any of the merchandise they had available?
So I have one of the wands. I have some of the statues too, like from Japan. They're really
Hmm.
they're really detailed. They're really nice, and I have the cloud cards too.
Oh, that was such a cool series. Thank you for reminding me of it because I need to go and rewatch it, and especially if they have new stuff coming out.
Yeah, so the whole series is on Crunchyroll, and same with the movies.
Oh, okay. I need to get Crunchyroll. I have Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, and I feel like Crunchyroll. It's in the back of my mind. So is it worth checking out?
Yeah, it's not very expensive. I think it's maybe like $7 or $8 a month.
Oh gosh, you can pay more for that for a meal. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what other anime have you been watching, or are you a fan of, even if you're not watching it right now?
Um. Actually, I watched all of Dragon Ball Super, which was it's a whole lot of powering up and yelling and fighting. So I kind of like watching that in the background. So while I'm doing other things, because you can see how the story progresses, but you won't miss anything if you look away for like a minute or two.
That's kind of relaxing. I like that.
Yeah, and I haven't watched too much anime lately. Um, Pretty much Castlevania was the one I've been watching the most lately. I think I've watched it over like the whole series like 3 times because it's not very long.
Yeah, the episodes are like 25 minutes, I think. So do they have? So I think they would have 3 seasons out so far.
Yeah, and they have confirmed they are doing another season, but there were huge gaps between each season. So if you're following the same pattern and it's not delayed by COVID, then it won't be out till next year probably.
Oh wow. And
Yeah.
so how are you liking the series since you're a huge Castlevania fan?
I love it. It has a lot of little throwbacks to the different games. The music definitely. Um,
Hmm.
some of the Symphony of the Night music is in there. And um I like how, the spoiler, when they're in the Belmont hold, it shows the pictures of the different Belmonts on the walls.
Ooh,
So
that's
that's pretty cool.
so you've played all the Castlevania games?
Not all of them. There's a couple on the DS I have not played, and the one that's on PS3, I think that's Lords of Shadow or something like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that one. There's so
Yeah,
many.
I have a PS3, so I didn't get to play the ones on there, but I think I've pretty much played all the other ones.
Which one is your favorite that you've played?
Uh, 64 and Symphony of the Night, I would think.
And 64 is the only one I played, and it gets so much hate, but I enjoyed it so much when I played it.
Yeah. You were like, oh, you like that game? It's terrible. I'm like, leave it alone.
It's so good. I really enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the gameplay. That hedge maze gave me nightmares when I was a kid. And
Yeah,
then
it's good.
so that so those are some huge inspirations for your art I see as well in Castlevania. So let's rewind. Would you like to tell us about getting into art and like how long you've been interested in it?
So I was really lucky in that department. I spent a lot of time with my granny growing up, and she was very creative. Like, she liked to, knit and make crafts and stuff, and she always kind of encouraged me to do the same thing.
Hmm.
Then even bigger was my mom was an art, music, and drama teacher for many, many years. So we always
Oh,
had access to doing that kind of thing at home. And it was really encouraged. Whereas I know that some people growing up, like, their parents don't really think it's a real job or a real hobby or something. But I was really lucky where I had a lot of encouragement in that department. And
you are very lucky.
yeah, but it's weird. I didn't take art in high school. I took it for 1 year, and then I didn't want to take it anymore. Instead, I took computers, which was strange.
So do
But
you like for graphic design kind of?
no, not even that. Like programming and um, yeah, I took programming all through high school.
Oh, wow. So do you still use that today for anything?
No.
That's okay. That that's because that is a an in-demand skill right now. But I don't know if your heart's not in it, I imagine it could get to feel kind of like a like drudgery, like kind of
Oh yeah, no. And
depressing.
I didn't pick anything related to art or computers. I work in healthcare, so I work in like palliative end of life care.
Oh,
Totally off the spectrum of both of those.
thank you for doing that because I think that is an often overlooked field in the general public's mind.
Oh, well,
I, well, I think a lot of people don't appreciate it until they are dealing with it with a loved one who is going through that.
yeah.
And it's my grandfather passed away last year, and he was at a nursing home, and just the level of love and care we could see with the nurses, and we would thank them every time we'd see them because it's not easy. I'm sure you could probably vouch for that if you get close to some of your patients.
Yeah, I'm sorry about your grandfather, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's how do you deal with that where you're helping people at their most vulnerable? Is it how do you, there's so many questions I want to ask. I'm like, what are some of the challenges, but what are some of the rewarding aspects?
So it probably sounds strange, but I find the most challenging thing is the family more than taking care of the person.
Hmm.
Because we also have to educate them on like what's happening with their loved one. Um, what are the changes that are happening? You know, you have to tell them that even if you try and make them eat, for example, their body doesn't want it. Their organs are shutting down. They're not going to live longer. You're just going to make them uncomfortable. They could choke, and then sometimes they get upset and they're like, "Oh, you're killing them." Like that's the hardest part. And then, of course, when you've had someone for a long time that you've looked after, or they've been totally cognitive, like with it the whole time, so you've gotten to know them, then of course you mourn the loss of them after, but you have to really engage in self-care. So that's where video games and art really, really come into play for me. Because you can kind of zone out, clear your head. So that
I,
helps.
I think that it takes a very strong person to do what you're doing, Sophie.
Oh, thank you.
I mean that sincerely. It's not a job I think just anybody can go into. You have to have a big heart, and you also have to probably mentally prepare yourself. You have to, I don't know if desensitize is the correct word.
Um, Someone told me once it was like when you go to someone's house and you bring a bag with you and you got your shoes on, well, you leave your bag and your shoes at the door and you go in. So you kind of let all that stuff go and you don't bring it with you into their home or wherever you're working, if it's in a hospital or in a long-term care home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then when you leave, you can pick that all up again. But that kind of helps you to deal with it and just be more present with the person and not focus too much on how you're feeling, but be aware of it.
That's a great analogy because I imagine with healthcare workers in your field and other fields, it can start to feel like a job if you're not careful, like just a typical job, and it's probably easy to forget that you're dealing with humans at times because we're all human, right? We all process things differently, and if you have something going on in your personal life and then you have to go deal with that level of stress, it's probably a challenge, I would imagine.
Yeah, you have to know when to take a break. Like, I'm pretty sure taking a leave of absence is fairly common in healthcare. Like, I've taken them before myself, and you need to take that time away. Otherwise, you're not going to do your job to the best of your ability. And I think it's with that with everything.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm sure you've heard this saying, you can't fill from an empty cup.
Yes, that's true.
Well, thank you for all your work with that. And have you ever shared any of your art with your patients or their families? Is that something that you like to do?
When I have someone for a long time, I've had one of my patients I've had for several years now, and at Christmas time I'll paint them something.
Oh,
And
it's
but they're really, really good to me. Like they give me a treat all the time, and they're almost like family. We're not really supposed to cross that line, but I think after a while it becomes kind of hard not to. And and if I'm lucky enough to see one of my patients actually either get better or move to like a long-term care home from their home, then I paint them something.
oh,
I guess.
that's so sweet. That's the sweetest gift I think you can give someone is sharing your talent with them, and they can have a piece of you wherever they go.
Or I just want something like it's like a good luck token. Like here, you're on your next journey.
What are some subjects that you've created for them?
I usually just paint the same thing for everybody, like a night sky with like northern lights. I'll just do different colors. It's something I'm really familiar with painting, and it doesn't take me too long.
Hmm.
So I usually do that. Like people like that kind of thing anyway. Kind of matches everything.
And it's beautiful the night. So, where you live, do you get to see the northern lights?
I have seen them, yeah, because I live out in the country, so we don't have a lot of light pollution.
I'm so jealous because that would just be magical to see that in person.
Yeah, one day I would like to go up north to like the Northwest Territories or something in Canada and
Mhm.
see the Northern Lights there because they're supposed to be incredibly bright.
And they change colors, don't they?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine because I've seen pictures, I've seen video footage, but to see that in person, that just has to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great comforting subject for people to have, that you give them in a painting form.
Yeah, plus like since I'm in Canada, it's kind of something that's Canadian.
Yeah, yeah. So that it kind of makes people probably feel a little bit more at home, like you were saying, something comforting and a good luck token.
Yeah, because otherwise I wouldn't really know what to paint on, like whether like a Tim Hortons coffee or something.
Yeah, like, okay, do you like animals? Do you like flowers? Do you like water bodies? I don't know. So when it comes to your art, what are some mediums that you dabble in?
I kind of go through like phases. So I used to paint a lot with acrylic paint, and I love painting on wood, like wood panels, instead of
Mhm.
using canvas. Um, and then I went to doing pen and ink. I still do a lot of pen and ink. It's a lot like watercolor, but it's way more pigment in the colors. Um, and it dries really, really fast. So you have to work fast, which is what I like. You don't
Mhm.
time on it. And then I tried learning with alcohol markers. Those are like the Copic type markers. Except I'm cheap, so I won't spend money on Copic markers. and I don't really believe in spending tons of money on expensive art supplies if you're just learning.
Mhm.
Um, and then right now I've been doing a lot of pen sketches because I'm not home enough to actually sit down and work on something for hours. So I bring my sketchbook with me in my bag or whatever. So if I have to go to work or to a doctor's appointment, I could just quickly draw something. And yeah, so I've been doing that lately. I hope to get into painting more again. I'm just hoping to have more time soon.
Yeah, I imagine that that medium probably takes the longest.
Yeah, at least I'm not doing oil painting because sometimes layers can take weeks to dry, and I do not
Weeks?
have patience. Yes.
I never thought of that. Oh my gosh. So what? So you were encouraged to draw, but with so the different mediums that you have worked with and worked on, did you teach yourself kind of, or did you watch like YouTube videos, or did someone guide you in person?
So with painting and stuff, like my mom just let us kind of do whatever we wanted, and then if she thought that we needed some pointers, she would tell us. But it was really self-directed, especially with like painting and stuff. But when I wanted to learn later on, like how to use the alcohol-based markers, I went on YouTube and I watched a whole bunch of videos. And then I would sit there and with my paper and my markers and like practice like blending and the different kinds of colors and making my color charts and stuff because I really wanted to learn. Like, I think that more than creating new art, I like to actually take classes more than anything because you learn, and that's to me that's more fulfilling than making something.
Really, that's a really cool outlook on it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't know. I feel like you can always improve no matter what.
You know, that's a really important point to make, because a lot of creative people are very hard on themselves if they feel like it's not perfect, their work.
Yeah, and I don't know. I really really like to learn about lots of things actually, but definitely with art, I love to watch how-to videos, no matter what it is. Even if it's something I already know how to draw, like a skeleton. Well, I like to follow along with the steps, and then I feel like I always kind of come out with something new, no matter how many times I've done it.
That's all. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I'm sure even if someone said, "Okay, Sophie, I want you to draw this character Mario from a video game," I bet if you made two copies of it, two original copies, each one would be unique and different.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm sure you've heard this before too with plays. If whenever you're going to a live production, if you would go to more than one of showing of that particular play, you're not going to get the exact same show each time.
That's true. That does make sense. I My mom used to do the drama club at school, so I would go see the plays, And then
Hmm.
sometimes I'd go to like the matinee one, and then where the whole school watches it, and then I'd go to it at nighttime, especially if she suckered me into helping her with it. And I'd go to the one at nighttime, and you could totally tell it was not exactly the same.
Have you ever dabbled in acting?
I tried to in high school, but I was a pretty big slacker, so they'd only give me parts with like one line.
Oh God. They're a lot of work. A lot.
Yeah, and it would be like, oh yeah, I'll try to memorize all this stuff, and it'd be like 10 minutes before the audition. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start.
It's so much work and it's a lot of time and you're dealing with different personalities too.
Yeah.
So with your art, I've seen that you like to draw a lot of video game and anime characters that I've seen on your Twitter account. Is there a particular show or video game that you gravitate to that you really enjoy recreating?
It kind of depends like what I'm playing or watching at the moment. So like I've been playing a lot of like Castlevania games in the past couple months. So I've been drawing a lot of that stuff. Of course, I've been watching it too. It kind of depends what I'm into at the moment. But when I'm not drawing anything like video game or TV related, that stuff I don't post as much. I like to draw a lot of like human anatomy. Um,
Oh,
yeah, because it's actually pretty difficult. And I like to draw nature and stuff too, but definitely like bones and things like that. There's a lot of different shades and shapes, and I don't know, they're fascinating.
they are because it's something we all deal with. We all have that.
Yeah, but you never actually see your own bones. Well, I hope not, anyway.
I hope not. Yeah, that's I hope none of us ever have to see that. That would be a little traumatizing.
A little bit, yeah.
So, do you think you'd like to see about illustrating for medical journals or textbooks, maybe?
I don't think that they really like. I think I'd have to be like a graphic designer for something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I'd like to do like a kid's book someday. Honestly, my mom's writing one right now, and but she's doing all of her own pictures, of course, because she's like insanely talented. But
Hmm.
I'd like to do something like that. But I don't want to write the story. I cannot be bothered to come up with a story. She's totally well.
So, you're more into the illustrating aspect of books.
Yeah.
And that's so important too, especially for younger audiences. I mean, I'm older and I still love seeing books that still have pictures or photographs or something included in them, but I think children especially can understand stories more through the art.
Yeah, especially like, when you're learning new words, especially like adjectives and stuff. Well, if they say, you know, to go with the adjective, there'll be pictures and they'll understand more what that means.
Exactly. Now, so do you think you'd like to continue illustrating maybe for some different books or like commissions as you go on?
I'd like to do books eventually, like kind of get away from commissions a little bit. Not saying I don't like doing commissions, it's awesome, it's great extra money. But I don't want to do that forever. Like, I want to have a big project
Hmm.
to do. So maybe someday. I'm kind of hoping somebody's like, hey, I want you to illustrate my book.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love that.
So what is it like being a commissioned artist? That world has always fascinated me. How did you get into that? Did you just throw a tweet out there saying, "Hey, let me know what you want me to draw," or did somebody reach out to you first?
Um, I don't know how to talk about this without sounding really vain. um, so I've never been one to say like my commissions are open or closed because I don't um because I work, right? Like, well, normally I work. When I'm sick, I don't work as much. But I I haven't ever advertised commissions. I just wait for people to come to me and tell me. But
Hmm.
I am fairly busy with that normally, and I'm really really lucky for that too. And people have been really nice. Like after I finish a commission, they post it and say, "Oh, I got this commission from Sophie," and then
Oh.
other people see it. So I think it's more like through my post and like word of mouth.
Oh wow, that's probably the best advertisement you can get, honestly.
Yeah.
That is really cool. But is it stressful working on commissions? Like, do you have a time frame you have to complete one by, or are you always nervous? Like, oh gosh, I hope they like it. I hope they like the end result.
Um, I kind of just I used to be nervous about that stuff, but I feel like if people see my art enough, they kind of know what to expect, and I just do what I think what my brain sees and what they're asking for. If that makes any
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and then if they don't like it, they can tell me, but that hasn't happened yet.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, you share your art. It's prolific on your Twitter account, so people can see your style and see what your characters are like.
Yeah, exactly. And like, not everybody asks me for characters. My favorite commissions are the ones when people ask me to do something that's totally not like not Zelda or Mario or anything like that. When it's
Hmm.
something completely different, those are my favorite.
Oh, that's awesome. What are some of your favorite ones that you've done so far that were kind of original or unique that you can think of?
Um, there was I've done two. There are video games. Two people have asked me to make parts of their Animal Crossing towns, well, their fiance's Animal Crossing towns.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's really cute. So you get to draw like their little character, and it's not really challenging, but it's fun for me to
hmm.
make. And they were both really happy with them, so that made me really glad. Another one, but it's also video game related, was a guy's fiance was graduating from veterinary school, and so and he said that she looked like Princess Peach, which I thought was adorable. And so he wanted Princess
Oh.
Peach dressed as with like a veterinary coat on, like the medical jacket
Hmm.
and a stethoscope, and then put like a dog and the cat in front of the castle.
Oh my God, that's adorable. that that is so cute. That's really unique too.
Yeah, so I like to like try and bring to life what people are asking for.
Yeah, and Animal Crossing especially, that's all about customization. No, I don't think any two islands will look alike.
Oh, that's for sure. Well, maybe mine will because I hardly ever play it. It's just a
I
pet.
was about to ask you if you play it, if you enjoy it.
I'm such a slacker. I'm just like, oh, now I got to do this. I'm gonna do something else.
I know exactly what you mean. Is this your first Animal Crossing game you've ever played?
No, no, I've been playing them since GameCube.
Hmm. So you know exactly what it's going to be like, to an
Yeah,
extent.
and then you don't want to play it again because they're just gonna guilt trip you when you come back after 45 years.
Yes, exactly. Where have you been? I wanted you to take me with you. Sometimes they say stuff like that, and I feel really bad. And and Animal Crossing is one of those games that, like, especially when it first comes out, I'll want to play it every day for several hours at a time, and then after a few months, I kind of gradually find myself playing other games more, and then I'll play it obsessively again after a few months or a year.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing for me actually. You play it a lot, you obsess over it, then you do something else and you don't touch it forever, and then you come back to it and obsess over it.
Yeah, and I've also been playing it since the GameCube days, so I'm kind of like, well, I kind of know what to expect by now.
Yeah, like you know how it's gonna go down.
Exactly. Well, what are some, and just in general with art, what are some challenges as an artist that you face either with creating or coming up with unique ideas, or are there physical aspects like do you have hand cramps or anything?
Um, Pretty much. I find it hard to do if I'm tired, like because I really need to concentrate. But that's pretty much the only setback. I find too, like if I don't know how to draw something in a picture, or if I'm not, if let's say they want like this, I don't know, complicated hand, or the character's got a whole bunch of hands. Well, then I'm gonna not draw the picture right away. I'm gonna do a whole bunch of hand tutorials, even though I already know how to draw hands, just so I know I've got that down. But I find that the most challenging thing. I think it's just me being harder on myself.
Kind of like being your own worst critic.
Yeah, and then yeah. But I find too, like, and also finding time, like, and starting something, and then getting distracted, and then now I have to finish it, but you're not in the mood to draw that picture anymore. So major ADD, I think.
Yeah, and there's so many shiny things that are looking for our attention, especially with the internet.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I could do this instead, but
Yes. So how often do you draw usually?
So when I sketch, sketching only takes me a few minutes, and I can do usually about 2 or 3 an hour. So if I have an hour to kill, then I can do several a day. Sometimes I don't draw at all for almost a week, but I try to do a little bit every day, even if it's a sketch, to kind of keep up my skill. And it's good practice, and it kind of gets you in a good habit of drawing. I took a life drawing course a few years ago, and I remember my instructor saying that the more you practice drawing what you see, the more that your brain will actually remember what you see and not what you think you see.
That's a really cool. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, whatever. But then I actually started doing it, and it's true.
A lot of famous authors say the same thing. Like, it's really important that you write something every day, get into that habit, even if it's not a full chapter or something epic that might even stay in your story, just that the exercise, the creative muscle at work.
Yeah, you have to just keep it up. Kind of like use it or lose it type thing.
Yeah. What's some advice you would give to artists who maybe feel discouraged, or some younger listeners who maybe feel like, oh, what I'm doing doesn't matter, or a little down, like how you were saying some people discourage art?
So I'm in my 30s, and so I've been doing art for a long, long time, and you won't find success overnight. It's a lot of work. It's always going to be a lot of work. It's never going to be easy, but you have to be confident in yourself. Always strive to keep learning new things and improving your technique. And don't get down on yourself if nobody buys your art ever. I mean, most famous artists, their art wasn't worth anything until after they were dead. Sorry, it's true. It's true, though.
Yeah, yeah. We're talking about Van Gogh and Picasso and Leonardo da Vinci, and they're not here right now to hear it.
Yeah, so many of those famous, like, you can't get down on yourself just because, you're not making tons of money off of it. I mean, I don't make tons of money off of it. I have a whole other career, but just keep doing your best and listen to critique, but don't get too down on it. Don't take it to heart. Don't quit doing something because someone says they don't like it or it's not good enough, etc., etc. Just keep working on it. Just keep pushing ahead. Just like what you want to do.
That's really good advice, because especially maybe you remember when you were younger, it's really easy to get down on yourself and feel very self-conscious.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I even get like that nowadays in certain things, but with art not so much. It's just like, and not everybody has the same taste. What might be really good to someone might be not so great to somebody else. It doesn't matter if it's good to you, and if you're happy with what you create, and you shouldn't be doing it for the money anyway.
Yeah, that's really important, because if unless it's a commission, I guess, but if you don't have your heart in it, then what's the point?
Exactly, because then it just becomes a job, and you can see that in art. Just like with anything else. If someone's just doing it, for the money, it's not going to look that great. There's not going to be any personality in it.
I have a hot take for you, or not a hot take, but I would love your opinion, because I have some friends who love to draw as well, and they always say, please try to buy custom art from artists or artists who have original work, instead of going to stores and getting these mass produced. pieces of art. Do
Mm-hmm.
you agree with that, or do you have an opinion on that?
I do agree. However, honestly, just buy what you like.
Mm-hmm.
If you like it, you don't feel pressured to buy something if you don't like it that much. You're committing to it. It's your money. I mean, if you do like the picture in the store better, well, then get the one in the store. It's
Mm-hmm.
really good to support local small artists. That's fantastic. But
Mm-hmm.
don't feel guilt tripped ever into buying something if you don't want to buy it.
That's another great point, because some people, they do like the mass produced flowers or beach scenes. Maybe they find peace with it. It match. They're just worried about matching, and somebody made it.
Yeah, somebody
Point.
did make that once upon a time. So, I think just get what you like. As long as, you're getting it in an ethical way. You're not buying like a forged.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, Wish is really bad for that. They have a lot of pictures that other artists have made, and they've turned them into prints, and you can buy them on there, and that's not good. But
Are you serious? I didn't know that was happening.
yeah,
Wow.
and it's also I think like on Amazon too, they have some stuff like that. It's just they kind of steal the artist's work, put it on T-shirts, water bottles, etc., etc.
How can artists protect themselves, like with a watermark, or is there anything you can do?
Um, that's kind of like out of my scope. I'm not really sure because it's never happened to me. But
Mm-hmm.
I would think that, like for me, I've always kind of hidden the signature within my work before I started signing underneath it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's one way to do it. And I guess, but it's hard to copyright things when it's fan art too. Like if it's Zelda, you can't copyright that.
Yeah.
Not really sure.
Gosh, that's horrible. I didn't know that was happening, because I've never used Wish before, but I've heard of it. But that's heartbreaking that people have put all this time and effort into their art, and then some anonymous person is profiting off of it.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
I don't know what I guess protect yourselves as much as possible, like Sophie said, with your watermark and your signature, and hopefully someone. And if you find out somebody's doing that, I would report them.
Oh yeah, like call them out for sure and say like this is where you can buy the original. Don't buy from these people, which I do see artists doing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much all you can do.
I know, unless you want to hire a lawyer and really get into the
Yeah.
the more expensive aspects, I guess. But I would say most people are on the original artist side and will be your cheerleaders and will shut the imposters down.
Exactly. I feel like most people want to do right.
Yeah, I think there are more good people out there than bad people. I know it's hard to see sometimes. It's really hard. But
Especially on social media, it gets a little wild.
so, speaking of social media, do you have to deal with a lot of negativity, or not really?
No, actually, I joke about this with people sometimes, but um people are 99.99999% always nice to me. I don't get hit on, like I don't get weird DMs. Like girls always talk about guys sending them weird DMs. I have never gotten those. Like
Me either,
involved,
actually.
but normally like I've never gotten those before, and I'm like, is there something wrong with my face? But no.
No. Where's this mythical dirty DM that everybody keeps talking about?
Like, is it all lies? Like no, but social media has been really good to me, and I've been able to exercise when I need to take a break. Um, and you just need to. I think it's also like self care. If things aren't great, you need to make the changes so that it works best for you.
Hmm.
But no, I've been really lucky in that department.
Yeah, I haven't received anything negative, and people listening, this is not an invitation to be negative to us. We're not
I
hoping
don't
to.
want the messages.
No, we're not hoping to cross that square off on our bingo card, please. We don't want it. The only thing I see is like, so I in high school I had MySpace.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yes, because I'm in my 30s as well, and I was obsessed with MySpace, and then there was Facebook. Then then Instagram and Twitter. Twitter I got off for several years, and then about a little over a year ago, I started using it again. And actually, that is my favorite platform right now.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. I don't have Facebook anymore. I got rid of that.
Hmm.
Um, I made an Instagram. My mom and my sister were really kind of on my case, like make an Instagram. But every picture I ever send my mom posts it to her own anyway. So, like, well, I don't need one. You're doing it for me.
Yeah, it can be kind of overwhelming when you think about like, okay, how many accounts do I need to manage about my life?
Yeah, like I can barely manage my real life. I don't want to manage a whole bunch of fake ones.
No, and I'm like you, Sophie. I deactivated Facebook.
Yeah, I kept the messenger because I'm the type of person that hates giving out their number.
Yes, yes, me too, me too.
But yeah,
And
the only people I talk to on there are like my family, and I see them all the time anyway. So I'm not really sure why I still have it.
it, and people who have listened to other Boss Rush episodes with me on it, I got to a point where Facebook was making me angry,
Mm-hmm.
and there, and that is not that is a valid emotion, but it's not one I like to entertain more than it needs to be entertained.
Oh yes, me too.
So sometimes on Twitter, I'll see because Twitter, if someone likes or retweets something, you'll see it. So sometimes I'll see very like attention seeking or very negative posts. Like I'm sure you've seen this with the new Mario 35th anniversary announcement. Some people are either complaining about the direct or they're making fun of people who are excited or who aren't excited. It's just like, come on, guys.
Like total party poopers.
Yes, that's the nicest thing to call them, party poopers. And it's just, uh, you're right. You have to take care of yourself. You have to have some self care with social media because it's very easy to get lost in your own head and to let it feel like it's really taking over your life if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's that's totally right. You need to make that space, like put a barrier between you and social media. I mean, like that's online. Like you have your whole other life, and I'm not saying that like the online stuff isn't real, but you still have to have a life outside of it.
100%. And it's like I turned off notifications because I was like, okay, because even if I don't check them right then and there, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I have something to check. Somebody needs me, but I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody commenting or messaging me on Twitter it's probably not a life or death situation. But Sophie, what are some of your other hobbies? We've talked about that you like, of course, to create with art. You like to play video games. You like to watch anime. Do you have any other hobbies you'd like to share?
I really like music. I love classical music and I love metal. I know that's totally strange, but they kind of do go together.
They
Um,
do.
I like a lot of old music too, like from like the 20s or 30s or 40s. I like 1970s rock music. Um, I do have a lot of records. I inherited a lot of them, and
Hmm.
um, sometimes I do get more, but not too often because now since record collecting is in again, of course the prices have gone up, much like video games.
Hmm.
Um, I love like uh, being outside. Not so much like hiking and stuff like that. I honestly just like to sit outside.
Hmm.
So, be around like flowers and stuff like that. Um, animals. I grew up on a farm, so we've always had animals around. And yeah, kind of like a little old lady in her 30s. I like music and flowers.
I'm living that granny life right there with you. So I love it. I've become a more of a morning person as I've gotten older, and I like to like take some coffee out and sit on the patio if it's a pretty day and just relax.
Yes. Yes, I'm
What?
totally like that too. I will wake up an hour earlier before I need to, before work, so I can just like enjoy my coffee, sit in the quiet, wake up.
It's like a meditation almost, you know?
Yeah, it's like having that time to just like let your brain wake up, and I don't know, I think it's kind of like part of the self-care thing.
That's really important because you might be like me. I hate being rushed. I hate it.
Me too. I hate it when people rush me. It's like, I'll get there in my own time. Do not do this to me.
Exactly. Like one of my greatest fears is also like oversleeping. There's and missing something because then you have to be frantic, and that just that puts your mind in this weird wired place.
Yeah. Um, when I first started working in healthcare, I was really bad about picking up too many shifts. I mean, I was young. I was like 19, 20 years old, and
Hmm.
could just work, and it wouldn't matter. But I'd do dumb things where I would work all day and then work a night shift, and then I'd have to get up in the morning, like late morning again, to go to work. But I had overslept like twice, and I've gotten up like 10 minutes after I was supposed to be at work already. So I was like, I guess I'm not going to do that anymore.
How did you learn to manage the times? Is that going back to kind of like a self-care thing?
Yeah, it was kind of like, you can't have any relationships or anything when all you do is work. So it was like, okay, I need to like sort myself out.
That's very smart because I'm sure burnout is real.
Yeah, it's weird. I didn't really face burnout until I was maybe my late 20s. And then I had to actually start taking time off. And even now, like, I'll take time off. I'll say I might just Friday off and have a whole weekend off, like 3 days or something.
Hmm.
Just to be lazy and eat snacks and watch TV.
Oh, are you like me? Because my favorite thing is if my boyfriend looks at me, he's like, "What do we have planned this weekend?" And I get to say, "Nothing."
Yes, I love to stay home.
Yeah, and if I want to do something, or we want to go out somewhere, we can do it on our own time, but it doesn't have to be planned because then I'm gonna kind of mentally dread it.
Yeah, I like I'm a planner in the sense that if I know that I have something that I have to do, I have to be prepared for it before I do it. Like,
Hmm.
some things I need to get ready before. But if it's like something leisurely, like I don't want to know about it till like 10 minutes before we decide to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like when I was younger, I used to be bummed if I didn't have something to do with friends every weekend. And now I'm like, well, aside from COVID preventing a lot of things, I'm like, oh gosh, I hope nobody wants to do too much this weekend.
I hope nobody talks to me this weekend.
or or I hate it whenever someone will say, "Hey, what are you doing on Saturday?" Instead of just opening it up with, "Hey, if you are not busy, this is going on Saturday. Do not set me up for that trap."
I know, it's like, oh, no, wait a second. Wait a second.
I don't know what I'm doing on Saturday. I don't know what mood I'm going to be in, if I'm going to be extroverted or introverted that day.
Yeah, it all depends, and like every day is different. Sometimes even like I'm different morning to night. Like in the morning I might feel really social, and then come nighttime I'm like, nope, 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 nope.
Hmm. That's exactly how I am. And I think most people are. It just
Yeah.
depends how the day goes. Well, Sophie, are there any current projects or goals you would like to talk about right now that you maybe haven't mentioned or?
I just want to work more on like my art and stuff, get better. I want to keep learning new mediums. I'm hoping eventually to kind of get back into learning about pastels. I haven't done that since maybe high school. So
Pastels.
I know
Nice.
it's really messy, and I'm a bit of a neat freak, so I'll have to kind of get out of my comfort zone for that one.
Are pastels the artwork made with those like oil-based sticks? Am I
Yeah, you
thinking?
get it all over your hand, it smears everywhere.
Oh, that sounds really pretty though. What kind of subjects would you like to create with that? Anything in particular come to mind?
I think I'd want to do like life drawing sketches to start for sure.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't really thought past that actually. I just kind of want to get comfortable with it.
Yeah, see where you go, see what happens.
Yeah,
Again, not planning, just having fun in the moment.
yeah.
Well, one thing we do like to ask people is what are some of your favorite snacks, meals, or beverages? Would you like to share any with us?
So people that really know me know that I love chocolate milk. I drink it so much. It's so bad for you, but I don't even care.
It's so delicious. It's so good.
I get really upset when it's not in the fridge. Like, people will go to the store at like 11 o'clock at night because they need something important. I will go for chocolate milk.
Oh, that is so good. Do you like to get it to where it's already made, or you like to make your own?
So I do have emergency chocolate milk mix at home.
Emergency chocolate.
But I like to have it already made.
Oh, it's so good, especially with donuts.
I know. Now I want a donut. Thanks.
Oh, well, I mean, I cannot be accused of preventing people from loving donuts because I love them so much. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite donut, or you like any?
Again, the whole chocolate theme. I like double chocolate donuts. I do like fritters too, so I'm not too picky.
Fritters, like apple fritters, peach fritters.
Any of them.
Oh, that's so good. Well, Sophie, where can people find you if they like to follow you?
You can always find me on Twitter at Sailor Sophie, spelled Soffie. And yeah, that's the best place to find me. That's pretty much the only platform I use.
Oh, awesome. And I saw that you do have a Ko-Fi. Are people able to find you on there as well?
Yes, I'm kind of bad about updating it, but I should really post on there more.
That's okay.
It's
And
under the same name as my Twitter.
Sailor Sophie. So I take it you're a fan of Sailor Moon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Sailor Scout?
Venus. How about you?
It changes between Sailor Moon and Sailor Mars.
Ooh, Sailor Mars is sassy.
I know, and I want to be like that. I want to be sassier. I want to feel like I can stand up for myself more. It's something I'm still learning even as an adult.
Yes, agreed on that one for sure.
Well, Sophie, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to let us get to know you better and give us the chance to share your voice and your story and give other people a chance to find all your work on Twitter, because I certainly love it. And whenever you post something that I see I want to buy, I'm going to try to nab it before somebody else does.
Oh, thank you.
Because I know you had posted the Sailor Scouts a while back, and I was like, oh, I want to come back to that. And then when I went, they were all gone. So you guys, you have to be hot.
Well, thank you. I had fun talking to you.
Thank you very much. I had a blast. Well, okay, guys, you can find us on Boss Rush Games wherever you listen to podcasts, and also on our YouTube channel. And I'm with Another Zelda podcast, which you can find again on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. And I, Celeste, am on Twitter and Instagram at Fairy Crypt. So come say hello. And thank you again, Sophie. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.